By 2026, AI won't just be a competitive advantage anymore. It'll actually be the difference between scaling through the roof and shutting your doors. But here's the thing, most businesses still don't know what their AI type is, and that's why they're spending a lot of time and money on tools that will never move the needle. I've built AI strategies for companies that went from completely stuck and overwhelmed to scaling through the roof and saving hundreds of hours every single month. And every single one of them started with one step, finding their AI type. In this video, I'll give you a simple AI audit, which reveals your AI type in under 10 minutes, so you know what to implement and what to ignore. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll have a 2026 proof plan for AI that your competitors won't see coming. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name's Liam. I've helped businesses all over the world to save tens and tens of thousands a year using AI. If you'd like to do the same for your business, you can just use the first link down below to book a free AI consultation call. I am limiting the spots to only the first 3 people that apply, so I hope to see you in there, and now let's dive into the first step. Here's a behind the scenes look at the AI auditing framework I want to give you today. Now, this is a framework used across the industry by many of my fellow AI developers, and it's a 3-phase AI audit. Phase 1 is the process audit, where we map out all of the existing processes. Phase 2 is the opportunity matrix, where we take a look at which one of these processes could we automate with AI. And then phase 3 is the development ROI calculation. Now, for each of these, I've given you some resources. You can head to the description under the resources section, and you can download, first of all, the opportunity matrix, which I'll explain in a moment. And then you can also access the ROI calculation assistant here using this link, which I'm going to show you how to use in just a second. Okay, let's get to the first part. So this is what we would build first. We first of all need to audit the processes in the existing business. Now, in this case, we will build flowcharts, and I can show you what this would look like. As you can see, I've done quite a lot of these, and existing processes could look like, for example, in a hotel, could look like this. We have different languages. We have an events branch, a hotel branch for making the bookings, a restaurant branch making the bookings. We take a look at the softwares that we're already using. When do you send the payment link? Where does the confirmation email come? And this is just basically mapping out what is a human doing at the moment. A human has to answer questions based on their memory. A human has to look in Cloudbeds, for example, to find availability. They have to send the payment link. They have to send a confirmation email, and so on. And it's really different for each business, which is why we take the time to map this out for each company. Now, going back up here, once you've mapped out these processes, this is the difficult part. So basically this gap in between here is something that I can help you bridge. You're welcome to book a free AI consultation call in the description. Just use the first link, and I can help you bridge the gap from what do you already have to what can AI do. And first of all, what I consider is, are we prioritizing internal or external types? Now, this is what I mean with an AI type. It's important to understand where are most of your processes actually focused. If you're a company that mainly deals internally, that has a lot of internal processes, maybe you send a lot of emails back and forth, maybe you spend a lot of time recapping past customer data, then possibly an internal AI assistant which can summarize customer details, which sends emails, which generates automated reports, possibly that's something that you need. Versus the external type, which is heavily focused on sales and marketing and customer acquisition and lots of support, for example, then you would need an external type. And you can have both in a business. I've done both, and it's just important to understand where do we start first, because they have different approaches. So external usually is a lot more conversational. You'd need something like a voice assistant, which I've built pretty much my whole channel and my whole business on, like a voice AI assistant, which is on the phone, or maybe like a chatbot, whereas internal can be more in the background in terms of automations and automatic report generation and so on, which you wouldn't really even see. It just happens in the background. Now, as I said, the difficult part is knowing what's possible with AI, and there's a few things that I consider every single time. So in my little AI brain here, I know of a lot of softwares that we can use. So for example, I know for a voice AI, we might use something like Vapi or Retail AI. For a chat AI, you can use things like VoiceFlow. For just general automations, you can use N8N. And just having played around with the softwares and actually delivered client builds, you start to get a feeling for what is possible. Now, second is the feasibility. And here, I think every project, we've gotten to a cool point where every project pretty much every project is very feasible, but I now just ask the question, not can we build it, but should we build it? Because sometimes, and this opportunity matrix will help you figure this question out, sometimes it's cool, but it's not actually that useful. Now next is dream versus dread, and that kind of ties into the feasibility, because you might have this really cool over-the-top dream, but at the end of the day, you actually lose money on it, and it's really hard to know, how can I even price these, what can I expect? And to help you with that, I've got the ROI calculation at the end. Now then there's a few things to consider, like legal. For example, you can't just get an AI to call all of your past customers without their consent, at least in certain countries you can't. And just the big question, what the hell is even possible? And to get started with, just watch some of the videos on my channel, because you'll see that most things are possible. And what I would invite you to do is follow along with all of this. Map out your processes. Doesn't need to be as detailed as I've done down here, but maybe just make a quick drawing, write it out, ask ChatGPT to give you a summary, and take those processes, have some ideas, just write down some cool ideas that you might have, regardless of if you think they're possible, if you don't know what softwares to use, it doesn't matter. Write those down, book a free AI consultation call, and bring those to me. And then I can help you map these into actual feasible opportunities. Because the next step is the opportunity matrix. And as you can see, if you go to the description, you can get this to download and actually put the opportunities in here. And this is a great way to help prioritize certain projects. You see, on the left, we have the difficulty, how hard is it to implement, and on the right, we have the impact to the business. So this quadrant over here is easy to implement, but also has low impact. So they're kind of nice to have, but we don't need them. Difficult to implement and low impact, those are the ones you want to steer clear of. This is what I meant with dream versus dread. You might have a really cool idea for a personal assistant which manages your whole life and books pet grooming sessions or whatever, and that's cool, right? But at the end of the day, if it only saves you an hour a day, then depending who you are, it could possibly still be worth it. But most of the time, those things are just nice to have, but not really useful. Now, the right two are the ones that I would always look at. The bottom ones are easy to implement and have a high impact. Now, those are the really fast wins. That can be things like, let's just train your team on how to use AI properly. Let's install a couple of softwares which can help you analyze your sales calls and give a summary, for example. Really easy stuff times, and that's where it helps to just know what softwares are around. And then over here we have difficult to implement, but also very high impact. And these are basically the big opportunities that we will take into phase 3. So for example, say somebody came to me and said, which actually has happened quite a lot of times, I'm overwhelmed with customer calls. I have one receptionist which can't handle all of them. We're losing jobs because I can't get to the phone every time, and people also call after hours. Then we will build an AI assistant which plugs straight into your phone and can actually act as your receptionist. It can take all the calls. Your receptionist can go and do a much better job in your company. Everyone rises, but basically the entire receptionist job is outsourced. Now this is very high business impact because you don't lose any more phone calls. Your customers are happier, but it's also quite difficult to implement. So you would take this project, for example, and go into phase 3, which is the ROI calculation. Now for this we have a framework, and I'll actually walk you through how you can use the assistant over here. Just copy this, hold on. Correct, you can use this assistant over here to help you do an ROI calculation. Now just a quick overview before we do that. You take the use case and you first of all look at what are the hours saved, and you have to put a price on those hours. So if you pay your team, say, $40 an hour and you save 100 hours, you can work out how much money is going into this specific task. Next, you look at the AI cost. This is mainly based on usage normally. Then there's also an AI development cost, which in this case I would give you. And then based on those, you can calculate the ROI. And this is a really easy thing to see because if, for example, we were to take one of these opportunities, which is difficult to implement but low business impact, you would probably not save a lot of hours, have a high AI cost, and overall possibly even a negative ROI. So you would try to steer clear of those. Okay, so you have to break it down this scientifically, because if you just try and install 10 AI apps, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, let's give you an example. So in this ROI calculator, maybe say something like, I want to build an AI front desk, for example. Then it's going to ask you, it's going to take a little while to think. And then if this project was 100% successful, how many hours would your team save every single month? So for example, I work with hotels a lot, or even Airbnbs. Then they would say, I currently have 2 people at the front desk and they're working full-time and can't even answer all the calls. In that case, you would go, okay, full-time, that's 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week times 2, for example. And it would go, okay, perfect, that's 80 hours saved per month. That's not quite right. I probably should have, it asked me for, correct the hours every month. So that's 80 hours a week times 4 weeks. There we go. And then, correct, so 320 hours saved per month. How much am I paying them per hour? Let's say you're paying them, maybe you're paying them 20, no, not that. Maybe you're paying them $20 an hour. And now we'll go into calculating the ROI. And it'll ask you, is this voice phone based or is it text based? Because phone and having an AI which speaks is inherently more expensive than having an AI on text. Text is pretty much, I wouldn't say free, but the usage is very low in text. So next it would go and calculate an ROI table. Yes, and then it'll ask you, would you like me to calculate the full thing? Yes, please. And then it will go ahead and analyze this and calculate a complete ROI for you. Now this can take a couple seconds for it to think. And it'll give you a full ROI table. So basically here you see without AI, you're usually paying those 2 receptionists $6,400 a month. The with AI column, in this case, you have 2 parts. You have the setup cost, which in this case is X, right? That's a quote that I would give you, for example. And then you have the usage costs, which in this case, as you can see, is only 1/3 of what you would pay humans. Now, of course, you have added benefits of 24-hour calling and no calls lost, which probably makes you a bunch more sales as well. But just in terms of pure human savings, you are saving, $53,000 a year with a project like this. So ROI is between, 168% and 1,668, 86%. And this depends on the development cost of this. Now, the development cost, the exact value of X can range. It can be a small one for 3,000. It can be a big one for 50,000. And to find that out, it'll prompt you to book a free AI consultation call with me, which you can do to find out the exact project. And if you already bring your processes with you, your ideas, and you've possibly also pre-calculated the ROI, then it's really, really quick for me to give you a quote as well. And now that you've done this, you've actually gone through a very scientific method of finding real AI opportunities in your business, which will actually have a proper ROI and won't be something that maybe is cool, maybe is useful, because it is very hard for someone who doesn't do this full time to know what's possible and what's actually useful. So I hope I was able to give you an overview of how you can scientifically approach AI projects and how I actually do it for every single one of my clients. Once again, if you would like to work with me, there's a link down below. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.